Hello everybody and welcome back to episode 4 of Exploring Experiments with Cody. Now I hope you've all had an amazing week and were able to successfully make your very own elephant's toothpaste last week. Now before we get started, I would just like to give a big shout out to the grade 1s and 2s out at Strathfield State Primary School, who I know have been tuning in every week. Now if there's anyone else that has been tuning in every week, please let me know. I would love to know who's out there. But otherwise, let's get started. So I have 2 experiments ready for today. First of all, we're going to be making some milk plastic. That's where we're going to be turning milk into a plastic-like substance with only 1 additional ingredient. We are then going to move on, and you can see I have an orange here. We're going to change how this feels and tastes in our mouth. But first of all, we're going to start with our plastic milk. Now the reason we're going to start with this is that we need to microwave and heat our milk, which I've done just before this video started so that you guys wouldn't have to wait, because for this experiment we're going to need a cup of milk, we're going to need 4 tablespoons of vinegar right here. I already have that measured out and I have my vinegar here. We're going to need a strainer of sorts, we're going to need some paper towel, and we're going to need a microwave friendly bowl. So I can get all this out of my way. First of all, what you're going to want to do is you want to pour your cup of milk into our microwave friendly bowl, and you're going to chuck that in the microwave for 90 seconds. Now that does bubble a little bit, so I would recommend hopefully putting some sort of cover over it, because you don't want anyone to have to clean the microwave afterwards. Once we've done that, we have our nice warm milk. We're going to just pour our 4 tablespoons of vinegar into our mixture. And then what we're going to do, we're just going to start mixing. And you can see immediately that it gets clumpy. And we can see that our milk is changing into some very weird material. Now I don't know if you can see that, but it is very clumpy now. It's almost like cheese. We're just going to keep stirring that. You want to stir that for about 60 seconds. We just want to make sure that it's all nice and mixed and we have as much plastic to work with as we can. Now, it's not actually a plastic, it's just that there is a protein in milk called casein, which also, when it comes into contact with the vinegar, the casein and the vinegar react, but they do not mix. The molecules actually move around and join forces to make our casein plastic. Now, this plastic comes in little blobs, and when we drain our water out, we're going to have to mix all that together. And then we're going to strain all this gross vinegar out. Now, just be warned, this has quite a strong smell to it. I still can't decide whether I like this smell or not, but it is a bit different, so just be careful about that. But I think I have done enough mixing for today. I'm going to put this down, and we're going to get our strainer. Now, real quick, I'm just going to grab a container to strain this into. I have my container here, and we're just going to strain all the vinegar and the milk juice out of that. So we're going to pour that in. And we're left with something that looks very cheese milky. I don't know if you can see that. We just want to get all the water out of there. We're going to strain all of that so it's nice and dry. And then we're going to use our paper towel from before. And you just want to mush that down a bit and get some more of the liquid out of this mixture. I'm going to squash it down. This is where it's going to start sticking together as well. You can see we're getting a couple more drops out. I'm going to do this until it's nice and dry. And there we go. It has become a lot more dry now. And now with that, what we're able to do, bring my bowl back, get that out of the way. Now with this, I'm going to scoop it all out with my fingers. Feels a little bit gross, but that's all right. That's a part of science. And once I have this in my hands, you just want to mix it together. You're going to squeeze a little bit because you're going to get some more juice out of it. And you can see now it really is starting to stick together. And all we needed to make this plastic was milk and vinegar. Now this is as far as I'm going to go today, but if you would like to, I would also recommend getting some cookie cutters and some paper towel. I'd put the cookie cutter of the shape that you want down on the paper towel and put our milk plastic in there. And then you want to squash it in the shape. And if you leave this to set for 48 hours, it will set hard into an actual plastic sort of thing. And then you'll be able to draw on it with a texture. So I would suggest maybe trying that. I'm not going to try that. I don't have that much time. But otherwise, that is our milk plastic done. Now this next experiment, I'm not going to lie, I've never tried this before. So I'm learning at the same time that you guys are. So for this one, all we're going to need is our orange from before and some baking soda. Now we're going to need to cut up our orange. So we're going to need a nice sharp knife. So please be careful, get an adult to do this for you. But I'm going to cut this in half. It's a bit of a tough orange. Saw it down the middle. Oh, nice and juicy. Not a perfect cut. And I'm going to go again into quarters. You know what? I'm going to go one more into eighths. So here I have some delicious fresh orange. So for me, I'm just going to be using this one bit of orange here. I'm going to peel the actual orange out because I don't want to eat any of the peel, of course. And then all we need for this one is some baking soda. And there's no specific amount of baking soda. I'm just going to pour a little bit in our bowl here. And all we're going to do for this experiment is we're going to dip our orange in this baking soda, and I'm going to take a bite and see what it does in my mouth. Because in my research, I have heard that it changes how the orange reacts in your mouth. Now I don't know how nice this is going to be, but I'm going to give it a quick taste. Now, the orange doesn't taste quite as nice as it usually is, because baking soda is not very delicious, it's a bit dry. But otherwise, it is actually reacting differently in my mouth. That is because our baking soda is what we call a base, and the citrus in our orange has what we call acid. And our acid and base are opposites. So when we mix them together, and then when I put them in my mouth, they react together inside my mouth and they bubble up and foam a little bit. So the orange does still does taste quite delicious, but it does have a very different feel in my mouth. I would highly recommend you try this. I don't know if you'd want to eat too much of this with baking soda because you might get a tummy ache, so I would not recommend you have too much of this. But it is nice and different. If you want to change the taste of your orange a little bit, get a weird mouth feel. But otherwise, that is both of our experiments over for today. So if you make your own plastic milk throughout the week and decide to draw on it, I would love for you to post those photos in the comment section so I can take a look. But otherwise, good luck everyone, have a great week, and I'll see you next week.